Welcome back to the FFR Summer Rando Marathon in support of the Liam Foundation. Originally started back in 2015, their mission is to encourage, assist, heal, and empower our LGBTQIA+ community through respect, advocacy, and passionate hearts to promote thriving in society. Their recent work centers around their expansion. In June of 2023, they've started hosting new events such as open mic nights, name change clinics, adult peer support groups, and more. If you like what you see, please go ahead and donate. We also have additional incentives coming up. We're working on meeting a new incentive for Dating Marin for the LADX run tomorrow morning. And while we were gone, we had a couple more donations come in. We had Hebbinks with $10. As promised, $10 for each Warmech and Friends wipe. Put this towards Dating Marin. We had a $10 donation from Ace Peacecraft. So from the the Final Fantasy Mystic Quest Rando group, matching Hebbinks' donation. Love the charity, and thanks for doing this goes to Hebbinks' choice of Marin. And also a $10 donation from Fuzzy13. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX, donate towards Dating Marin. With all that out of the way, I'm going to toss us over to Sonny Wrath. Enjoy some Super Mario RPG Raenseske Final Mix.
Hi everybody, I'm back. Instead of hosting, I'm running now. So yes,
how unfortunate.
I know, right? This is Super Mario RPG Raenseske Final Mix. The category that was donated for is all bosses. So you'll be seeing me fight every single major boss that does not respawn in the game. There will be one grind segment pretty early in the run in order to get levels as well as money for part of the route of the game. And then after that, it's going to be rapid fire bosses for a bit until a long shopping segment. But with me, I have two people helping me out to do commentary, so I'll let them introduce themselves.
Yeah, I'm the Sid, and he's dragged me in here. We do a lot of co-op stuff, but I've witnessed more of this than any human should, so I'm sure you guys will enjoy it.
Yep, and I am Admiral Tryhard. Once again, as Sonny dragged me into everything, we're also going to be co-op partners for the upcoming tournament, right?
That we are. So the time's not going to start immediately after I end up finishing putting my file name in. There actually is a 55.5 second delay before the time actually starts. So I'm going to let the cutscene play out. As we like to joke, it is 55.5 seconds of just waiting. So yeah.
If you played SMRPG, you know the drill.
The reset into P-break combo is pretty strong.
Yeah, very much so for this, because you're just waiting for the 55.5 seconds. But yeah, this is a Super Mario RPG ROM hack. This was made many, many years ago at this point. I think 12 or 13 years ago now. And it was definitely one of the more hidden ROM hacks. So I stumbled across it, and I hope you all enjoy. But it's getting close to time to start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So,
So early game here, we're going to be heading over here, grabbing a hammer so we can actually do some reasonable amount of damage. As Sonny mentioned, we're going to need to take a few fights here. We're going to take out a few just nothing enemies here because we're fairly weak right now. And this is the most reasonable way to get a few levels. So the respawning mini boss that we'll actually be taking on for levels will actually be reasonable to kill and not a complete crapshoot. It is still a bit dangerous, but we could have one-shot this guy right here, and it actually would have been much faster because this, once again, is guaranteed. So if we had high rolled the max or second to highest, we would have been able to one-shot. This fight would have gone a little bit quicker. Because the problem here is the Valor up will increase their defense, so we basically are doing about half damage, making this take a little bit longer. And Fear here is not going to help. That's going to drive our damage down a little bit too. But easy peasy. You would think that mushroom would be nice, but that is for capitalism. We will not be using items. At least not early.
Capitalism is the name of the game early game because there's a very, very stingy merchant who has very valuable items, and we kind of need them.
Yeah, the dev was nice enough to have vendors that sell both Yoshi aids and red essences. Yoshi aids are very, very valuable, but also 700 coins a pop. So we need a lot of money to get a hold of a few of those. The attack up and defense up is incredibly impactful in the boss fights and speeding them up. So that's basically what we're doing is we're grinding out a few levels here and grinding enough money. This last fight, if we'd gotten lucky, we could have gotten level 3 a little bit earlier, but it turns out that it messes up our level curve overall, so we need to take all 3 of those fights. And then we got the Shazam here, who's the mini-boss that we were talking about. This little guy will respawn. This is not too bad, but we really don't want to see any more magic. If you're familiar... Go ahead.
Yeah, be prepared to laugh if he does another rapid ice, because
Pog! That normally does like 30 damage. That is clutch.
See, I was ready to like laugh at the beginning because, you know, haha, early reset, but it seems to be going well.
Oh, we're playing it safe. That's fair. Luckily, we don't... What the?
We just get a freebie. Just get a freebie, lol.
Okay, Sonny got a little bit flustered there. Normally, we can guard all the physical attacks for 0 damage. But this weird pattern probably has thrown him off a little bit. Normally, we just throw caution to the wind and just keep attacking. We're getting close to the end of this fight, though, so as long as we don't get hit by a rapid ice, we should be fine. All right. The next fight will be a little bit as dangerous, but we should be fine with the extra level. We'll do more damage, so the fight will go a lot quicker. We also want to make sure to grab physical levels here, because we only have a party of 1 for the majority of this run. We won't have access to anybody else until they give us a few party members for the very last fight. So, physical will be king.
Yeah, but the other reason why is because managing FP when you're by yourself is just not fun.
Yeah, that, and like I mentioned, we have access to Red Essence and Yoshi Aids. So our item box is going to be very heavily favored towards those high power items over fiddling around with FP. You may see these flower jars and think, well, yeah, you can get some extra FP this way. No. These are also for money.
I think they sell for 300 a pop?
Yep. Just enough to get us Yoshi Aid at this point. But we're not going to bother with Yoshi Aid. We're going to go with a little bit of safety and a little bit of forward thinking. We're going to head back to the vendor now that we've done 2 fights because we have 2 flower jars. And that will give us enough money to buy a ribbon, so our defense will be a lot higher. So we can still die, but it's very unlikely at this point, and an EXP booster, which
it's an
anybody
EXP booster. Yeah.
Anybody that plays RPGs knows how good this is. Doubling your EXP is nice. The fact that we made it through that first fight, That rapid ice coming down was very terrifying, honestly.
Yeah, I had to hold my breath on the second, or to make sure I didn't get another one. And healing definitely was a massive pivot there. Normally, in attempts of this game, I would not have healed that. I would have just pressed on.
It was definitely the right play, because Stalactite hits for like 14, 15, but the rapid ice hits for like 32, 33. So with that combination, we would have definitely been dead without healing, or the miss, which was very fortunate.
That miss was so huge. That's like the second time we've seen it in all the practice runs we've done.
Oh yeah, it was massive. And thank you, Wind Fox. I appreciate it, my friend.
There was one really funny run where we just like, yeah, let's do this task fight at level 2. Survived the level 2 and level 3 fight, and then died on the level 4 fight.
Nice.
This is a pretty interesting watch.
Oh, so starting off strong.
Have we mentioned everything that Shazam can do?
Yeah, Shazam has a couple of different attacks. The Rapid Ice and Stalactites we do not want to see because we have no means to block them. The way that this game works, you can only time block physical attacks. Shazam has 2 physical attacks, one of the standard physical, and the 2 magic attacks, which we can't block, that we don't want to see. And
what we got twice in a row, 3 turns.
Just skips their turn. There's a couple of bosses that have turn skips, so if you don't look for it, you really don't recognize that it's happened. There are some bosses that have a turn skip in a weird way, where they'll use a healing spell, which will heal for about half the damage we're dealing, and then skip the next turn. So if we see heals, that's actually beneficial in most situations as well. But now that we have the EXP booster, we need to go through 4 of these total, mainly because we want to hit level 8, and we also need enough money for those Yoshi aids. As I mentioned, there's 700 a pop, so we need to get the 4 flower jars so we get there. You will notice that we do kind of a weird buy-sell thing, because vanilla Super Mario RPG has a 999 coin cap, so we have to sell up to 700 or more without going over 999, so we don't waste too much money. Buy a Yoshi aid, sell some, and then buy a Yoshi aid again. So a lot of this is being very good at the menus, where we sell stuff very rapidly, buy what we need, and continue that pattern efficiently. Like this one right here is actually kind of scary, because if you miss the down input, you accidentally sell the Yoshi aid, which I've only seen happen like once. But it's not like a run killer, but it definitely slows things down.
Something you may have noticed is I've been counting the damage that I deal to Shazam and finishing off with an untimed attack more often than not. That is to skip the second hammer swing, shorten the animation, and get out of the fight that much faster.
Yeah, one thing you may notice right there is that untimed swing did way less damage. Hitting the perfect timing on an attack will actually double the damage, so it's very important to hit the sweet spot on each one of the attacks, as opposed to missing it or hitting a sour timing, which does not increase it nearly as much.
On top of that, the weapons themselves have damage ranges anyway, just off the bat.
Yeah.
And
so
here we go.
There's a downside to going solo physical. It means we don't have to worry about FP, but it also means that we're going to have to deal with some damage ranges, about 3 or 4 different damage ranges. And because we're doubling the damage and then also adding on the Yoshi aids, that range is going to get a little bit wider. So if Sonny isn't making the effort to count, we can end up in a really bad spot. And it also allows us to plan for, hey, okay, this boss should die in this one hit so we can do an untimed. Or like, well, we got to hit these ranges or we're doing an extra turn because the boss left with 4 HP. So we have Lavender Dragon here. I mean, not Sar Dragon. I mean, yeah.
A lot of distinct Sar Dragon.
With PH Flare, let's go!
I still call it Acid Flare, just for the joke.
A lot of these bosses are basically recolor reskin with reworked AI. For the most part, this is just vanilla Super Mario RPG with some map reworks, different work points, and more or less reskinned and reworked boss fights. For the most part, like a lot of bosses will have a counterattack too, so sometimes you'll notice them taking 2 turns, and that's normally what it is. It's an issue we have with this boss too. Luckily, level 8 is more than enough to get through this fight, so we didn't need to bother going out of our way for an extra Yoshi aid. We just can brute force this one. And even if we did go for a Yoshi aid, the extra 2 fights would probably push us up to like 9. So it would just be a massive time waste. We will get more Yoshi aids later, but for now we don't need it on this guy. One of the like big time saves, time loss in this category, or this game, unfortunately, is whether the boss chooses specific animations. Like, obviously, these animations are much longer than just a quick physical attack. Or they could be extremely dangerous and leave us with 6 hit points.
Fine. 5 more than you need.
Yeah, it's 5 more than you need. That is very true. 1 is the only one that matters. So one of the things we will be doing is grabbing a lot of physical levels. We did skip out on a physical level because that actually wouldn't have really given us much of a bonus, and we needed a bit of magic defense as well.
Yeah, no, it's more so because it gives 5 magic attack. It was a really good magic level. You cannot pass up level 7 magic.
Yeah, and after this boss, the following boss will be Super Jumps, the boss.
Yeah, it'll be one of the... Go ahead.
I actually am planning to donate $1 for every Super Jump that I hit. And the first jump on Super Jump does not count towards that. So if I hit 100 on the first go, well, that's going to be $100 donated.
That'll actually save us a lot of time, too. The vanilla game does have attack scarf for every 30 super jump set, and then, you know, you just get the 1. But when you hit all 100, you also get a super suit, which, if you're not familiar with, is just a massive stat stick that will give us a huge damage increase. We won't be able to use it on every fight, and we won't want to grab it too early because of some buying-selling shenanigans. But for the most part, the attack scarf is really all we need to get through it. The super suit will just make it a lot safer, and some fights a little bit quicker. But even though the previous world record before we were practicing for this had super suit, we've world recorded twice during practice without it, just to like illustrate how it's nice but not necessary.
Do I have time to sneak in for a quick donation?
Sure.
Yes, you do.
We have $85 from Chanigan. Huge thank you to everyone that participated. Thank you, Chanigan.
There'll be a few places where we have kind of more dead time for sure, but feel free to sneak in if you've got something to say. Don't worry about it. So we're going to grab a couple of ice bombs here because we have to deal with a few ads in the next fight if the super jumps don't go perfectly. And we'll also need to be dealing with the Axum Rangers after this fight as well. And having AoE is super nice.
Yeah, so super jumps, the boss fight. If you're not familiar with super jumps, they are hard. They are really hard to do. This because once you get up to 13, you have a 3-frame window to hit them, and you got to hit 87 of those 3-frame windows in a row. So watch Sonya do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're looking for at least 30 for an attack scarf here. But again, if he hits all 100, it one-shots this boss, and we get the super suit.
Yeah, ideally, that should be a little bit below 30 with the damage that I'm seeing. I think we need to see around 400 for 30. But it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, we have 2 or 3 attempts at this, honestly.
Yeah.
The only reason...
Sonya is deafened for this, just to focus up.
Yeah, this is a hell of a thing to do with, like, 2 numbskulls prattling in your ear for sure. It'll be fine, though. Like I said, we need the minimum of 30, which is not too hard to hit.
May I add a 3rd numbskull temporarily?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
As an update from Chanigan's donation, Chanigan put it towards all open incentives kind of in order. So we have finished the Date Marin incentive, and we are now 65 of 80 into the All Bosses Relics for Castlevania Symphony of the Night Rando.
Fantastic. So 700 means we well cleared the 30, so this run is on track and ready to go. We're getting close to the amount of damage that we need to clear this fight. So all we need to do is get like about another 40, give or take. The downside to missing the super jump is these additional Marios. the damage will add up very quick, so we need to clear this next one. We are planning on using ice bombs to get rid of the Mario anyway, so it should clear up another 200-ish damage, give or take. One of the interesting things, actually, I found out while we were practicing this is Yoshi Aid actually increases the damage of use items as well, which just absolutely blew me away. We were counting some super jumps, that's what we were doing, because we wanted to know how much damage and which items we got from the jumps.
Yep, so our super jump total should be $80.
Yep,
Yes.
so that'll be $80 being donated.
Yep. So the ice bomb there usually only does 180, but with the Yoshi Aid, it pumps up to 270. Because without the Yoshi Aid, the ice bomb actually won't one-shot there. Because there was one fight where we only had one Yoshi Aid because we sold one of them. So it's one of those interesting things that you don't really think interacts. Like, for the people that may not be super versed in Super Mario RPG, one of the other things that I find weird is that jump is jump element.
And it's magic.
Yeah. It's interesting. So you may notice we're buying stuff here and just magically have more. For whatever reason, which I'm pretty sure is the dev was just like, I want infinite money. How am I going to make this very easy? Shelly's you buy them for 32, but sell for 256. So we functionally have infinite money. The items themselves, we can hold on to quite a bit because the item inventory and the weapon inventory are actually separate. So this will allow us to stock up on every item we could possibly need while holding on to a bunch of Shellys and effectively having as much money as we need to buy all the things we need. So we head over to the secret shop there, grab a couple of Kiro Colas so that we have safety in the next few fights. Normally you only need one, but we would like two. Top off the Shellys again, and now we're going to head back to the very first vendor because that's the only one that actually sells Yoshi Aids, and we're going to get all the Yoshi Aids we need for the rest of the fight. We will have a little bit of leeway where if we hit a couple of freebies, it can be beneficial but not needed. The freebie chance for each item, at least the good items like Yoshi Aid, Red Essence, and Caracolas are 12.5%. So we have an okay-ish chance. Some of the other use items are around 25, like the ice bombs are 25% to get a freebie.
Or a lot more than 25% if your name is Sonny.
Yeah, some of the practice runs we hit like what felt like 7 or 8 freebies on like both of them combined. It was very wild.
But yeah, we are going into a massive buy-sell segment because, as mentioned earlier, we are preparing for the end of the game already.
Fortunately,
so you're going to see me buying a lot of Yoshi Aids here, maybe buying a ribbon as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have to sell enough Shellys to be below the 999 threshold. We don't necessarily have to be super perfect about it because we do have extra from the amount of Shellys, but obviously we want to hit that sweet spot, that 700 or more. Buy the Yoshi Aid, come back, sell up to 700 or more, buy, go back and forth. So this is actually a very complex, while simplistic menu, but it's pretty strenuous to keep track of, which is why we're over here yapping. So you can understand what you're looking at.
Yeah. You wouldn't really have to deal with this in the remake because it does modern inventory of like 99 per item.
Yeah, if you're running on, I think what I've heard is so run chance is random in this. There are some hacks of this that make run chance 100%, which is one of the other ones Sonny runs, Armageddon. It's a really neat one. But we'll get there whenever that actually shows up. But the modern inventory is kind of weird, where I think on lower difficulties, everything is set to like 999. But if you're set to like normal or higher, everything has like a very arbitrary amount, like max mushrooms are like 10, caracolers are like 3, stuff like that, versus having just 30 inventory spaces to buy whatever you want. So we're 100% taking advantage of having a fully a full inventory that we can just load up with power items. Luckily, we're done. We have enough money to get all the Yoshi aids we need in that one trip. So now we're going to head back, grab some more Shellys to get Red Essence because this guy sells them, which is, he's fortunately much closer than that initial vendor. So that's the main time loss, is just having to go all the way back for the Yoshi aids. But luckily, we have enough slots that we don't have to worry about it. If we really wanted to, we could pick up some additional Red Essences later. We end up hitting like 999 very quickly. But,
yeah. I'm going to interrupt here because, yeah, I'm starting to get a bit of stutter.
Yeah, I'll be restarting my capture card at the next boss.
Okay.
yeah. We did have this slightly before, but we thought it was Discord. That's our bad. Weren't sure that it was actually coming through on your end. Sorry about that. So yeah, we'll be able to max out on the...
We get to see stuttery shopping, so you know what's going on even less.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much what it feels like when you're trying to figure out what's going on. It might as well be displayed like this the whole time. Luckily, there's a save right here, too, if we need it. Unfortunately, the mod of the game has been doing some weird things where it clears out saves. So, it's a little bit more awkward than it needs to be. So we're actually heading into the boss rush now. This is why I was mentioning we wanted ice bombs, because we had to deal with the Axums. So Behemoth was really like 2 or 3 bosses ahead of the ones we should be fighting. And now we're on the Raenseske, which is way later. So we're a little bit under-leveled, and we got to be very careful about how we deal with this. We could be at the mercy of magic attacks so that we have no way to actually defend the damage. But if we see physicals, we can block them. As long as there's not too many magic attacks, which there was pretty low this time compared to a lot of the ones we've seen in practice runs, we should be good to go. But like I mentioned, we're going to want to use the Yoshi aid to boost the power of our use items. So it's going to take us 3 turns to wipe out the enemies. Had we been able to get the super suit, though, we wouldn't actually equip it here, because there's 2 attacks that will insta-kill us, one from the red, and when we kill green, they will use Migraine, which will give us a 50-50 one-shot, and the other move is 100% kill that will do 9,999 if we do not have insta-death prevention. So we wouldn't be able to use the super suit yet, even if we wanted to, and we definitely don't want to use the attack scarf, because we're going into a boss rush, so the EXP booster is incredibly important to get a bunch of extra levels to speed things up.
All right. How many ice bomb freebies? There's
one already.
Like I mentioned, the power items are 12.5, ice bombs are 25%, so it's very likely we'll see extra ice bombs. Normally, we would buy 4 to 5, but we've seen so many freebies on ice bombs that we're just getting the 3 that we need to get rid of all of the Axum, not Axum Rangers.
I'll throw an extra $10 per ice bomb freebie. So we've already got 90 from me.
High roller. No freebie here, unfortunately. We did grab the gold shell earlier, which is more or less a reskinned lazy shell. So that if we didn't have enough ice bombs, we would be able to clear this fight pretty easily.
Yeah, so we're at 1 out of 2 freebies.
1 out of 3.
So one of the other things is we need to be cautious and conscious of the freebies that we get, because they kind of get added to the inventory, so 2 of 4, in a very awkward way. So if we're just kind of relying completely on muscle memory to throw Yoshi aids and red essences, we might stumble on the wrong thing. And part of the other thing too is like the freebies on the ice bombs can be kind of annoying, because you just want to get them out of your inventory after this, so you don't have to bother selling them, because there's really no benefit to keeping them after this. Yeah. So it's a good thing we brought this shell.
We're going to survive on 1 HP.
Yep. Yep. So the gold shell, unfortunately, was a waste of time, but we did want to go in there for the Caracola anyway. So we needed to hit that shop up.
Exactly. Living by 1 HP. You don't see that too often.
1 HP in a dream, that's all you need. So the upgrade here will give us a blade hammer to get rid of the gold shell. Is it Sonny? Your stream went black.
Everything all good?
There we go.
I know what happened. I hit space to try to split, and what happened is, since OBS was still in focus, that ended up happening.
Fair. So,
but yeah, after fighting Raenseske, we end up going to buy the Geno ribbon, and after buying the Geno ribbon, we are in boss rush mode. So first up is going to be Merlin. We should have fought him before fighting Behemoth.
And as a consequence, he's not going to last very long.
Yep.
He's going to go boom.
And to top it up, ooh, that's going to make this even faster.
Yeah, that's a 2-turn fight.
Normally, that attack will inflict fear, which will half your damage. So that's a really nice skip right there. The Blade Hammer is basically the ultimate weapon and replaces the gold shell. So our damage is going to be a lot higher. And because we're min-maxing on the EXP booster here, we're going to get a lot of extra EXP from all these bosses. Normally, we could actually skip these bosses, but we do go back to kill them for a lot of free EXP, so that the final bosses are a lot more reasonable. There is only one boss that's technically added in all bosses, and the reason we normally skip it is because we don't get anything out of it, no EXP or anything, so there's really no reason to fight. We also get the fake out here that we're going to get Bowser, and nope, no Bowser. Only sadness. I think in this position, I would be okay with getting Bowser. It would be kind of nice.
Another party member.
Yeah.
Always appreciated.
What's a party member?
You never really realize how nice something is until you don't have it.
However, we will get Toadstool and Geno for the last fight.
Luckily, they give us an actual party for the final boss.
Yeah, the final boss without a party would be absolutely unfair and brutal.
Yeah. And the pre-final boss is
You'd
is
probably have
special.
to stock up on more red essences.
Yeah,
But then I would have to fight the gauntlet of the pre-final boss again.
Oh, do?
Yeah, that's a locked off area. You can't
Or
go back.
hear me out, just get more freebies.
Yeah, I mean... So these fights are so early on that we really don't bother with the Yoshi Aid for most of them. We can just push through with raw damage. And luckily a lot of these are physical attacks, so we can guard them more or less.
Actually, every single attack that Jinx does is physical, even Silver Bullet, which you would think is magical, but no. Every single attack of Jinx's is a physical attack.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah. So...
I mean, he is the master of martial arts in this game.
Speaking of which, the reason we pointed out the Geno ribbon that we bought, we changed off of the one that gave us instant death protection, and the Geno ribbon is kind of like a pseudo super suit. It's nowhere near as strong, but it does give us a bit of an attack boost. So it really does help speed these things up, having that final armor on. Yeah, but that buy-sell phase is kind of the, like, this is why we don't grab the attack scarf early. We want the EXP booster on anyway, and there's no reason to risk accidentally selling it or making the buy-sell harder than it needs to be by having something mixed in there with the Shellies.
Yeah, it's really nice that it kind of lines up with not needing to equip those items early on and you know, dealing with the buy selling early on, so you can just not worry about both at a time. At the same time.
The only time you would consider grabbing it earlier is if you have the super suit. Because at this point, we could have thrown the super suit on, but we would also already be done with the buying and selling, so it's not that big of an issue. Okay, good. Nice. We just wanted to get that ice bomb out of our inventory, even though it does 0 damage. We were actually hoping there was no freebie, so we didn't have to sell it later. Makes our lives a little bit easier.
Yeah, granted that was a miss menu because I had forgotten about that freebie ice bomb.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier. The freebies kind of get in weird spots in the inventory, so sometimes you can throw the wrong thing. To be honest, if there's a place to miss item, this is probably it. Because that can be a catastrophic failure later on if you accidentally Yoshi-aid at the wrong time and waste your last one, or basically fail to Red Essence and continue the defense up.
Yeah. Speaking of Red Essencing, I've learned a lot of unique uses for them in the time I've been looking at the practice.
Yeah, Red Essence protects all of your stats in such an awkward way that you just kind of wouldn't assume it does what it does. What it does is it prevents your attack and defense and just any status effect in general from negatively affecting you. But it also prevents you from upgrading your attack and defense. So we have to Yoshi-aid before Red Essences every single time if we want the attack buff. But that also means bosses can't reduce or remove our attack buffs or reduce our attack if they do use a move like that. But one of the interesting ones that Tryhard was referencing is actually in the final fight, Peach got turned into a mushroom and we just Red Essenced her early and it unmushroomed her, which was like so counterintuitive, but yeah, that makes sense.
Other things that a Red Essence makes you immune to, Red Essence.
Yeah. So if you're thinking like, oh, I want to get everybody on the same Red Essence timer, and I see that their Red Essence is going to run out, I'm just going to use this a turn early. Yeah, that's not how that works. It's super weird. Yeah, so that was an earlier weapon that we would have gotten for beating the bosses. Sensei Star is basically the same thing. It's actually a decent equipment. You could use it instead of the attack scarf, but your life is going to be a little bit harder than it needs to be. But since we have access to the attack scarf, we're just going to go with that. You may also notice that we're kind of like hopping around strangely. The warp zones that take us from area to area have been active the whole time. So that's kind of what we've been doing, is just jumping into the warp zones before like the dev intended it, because we know it's there. It's just one of those interesting things that allows us to kind of like do a glitchy run and skip forward through or back very easily.
So we were all wrong. It was 46, so it's 99 for the total, but I'm going to round it up to 100 regardless. Freebie on the Yoshi-aid, that's good.
So Demon Flash here is one of those moves I was talking about earlier where they heal themselves and then take a free turn. So bonk, we out damage, and double bonk.
Free turn, yeah.
Yep. So we actually, I'm pretty sure the bosses can't do it back to back. But for the most part, everything is just RNG here. It's just, you get what you get. A lot of the time save, time loss comes from getting good patterns. And by that, I mean like physical attacks or very quick animations. More or less, we can't control it for the most part. The only thing we can do is play smart and safe here. Which is making sure to throw up a Red Essence when we're in danger of dying, or like this, keeping the EXP booster on until we get to the point where we're not getting any more EXP anyway, and then putting on the attack scarf. But this will push us up to level 27, which will more or less put us towards the final few levels before we get into the final gauntlet. So that'll give us a nice attack boost, because the last levels give you a nice big stat bonus too, every time you go for them. This is the skippable boss lane that would otherwise...
This is what you donated for.
Yep. So yeah, we've got legally distinct Krulix here without his crystals, because he just kind of wandered in here at some point.
Heads up on this boss, 2 phases, 9,999 HP per phase. So yeah, we're in for a long fight.
Bosses kind of start getting chunky around this point, and I mean real chunky. This guy, luckily we hit for about 900 a pop, so we'll get through it somewhat quick, but not extremely quick. Eee! Sorry, I can't help it. It's just aesthetic. It's just too much fun.
Yeah, with legally distinct Culex here, just kind of perfect fitting for the FFR community having SMRPG here.
Yeah. One of the things you'll note is that there was just that random dialogue box, but he didn't do anything. Lane here actually has Boyer's ability. He can only turn off attacks, but he will turn them off. And whenever that script comes up, the first time your attacks are locked, and the second time it comes up, he's turning it back off. Lane is also weak to fire here, so we'll throw a couple of fires during those turns when our attack is locked. But we have to be very careful to make sure that we don't kill while our attack is locked. Because if we did do that, our attack would stay locked for the second life bar, which means the fight's GG. There's basically no way to finish it. But yeah, this is why we were saying, like, magic is good because it does consistent damage. But the problem is there's no functional way to really, like, stock up on syrups or get our FP count to a reasonable enough level that we wouldn't waste a bunch of inventory space on syrups and time syruping over and over again. So we just take the randomness of physical attacks, more or less, and just learn to count.
Yeah, like the only way I know you can increase your FP is from grinding those Shazams for the flower jars and using them, but we want money, so we use them for money.
Yeah, I want to say jars are like 1. It might be 3 FP, but it's like the amount that we would need would be so astronomically high that like this run would probably be twice as long if we went magic. So
would be interesting to see, but eh.
I mean, it's a choice you can make, but the problem is like a lot of these solo hacks with solo Mario, it's just not reasonable. Obviously, if you're doing it casually, feel free. There's no reason not to. And then at a certain point, as you can tell, the Shazam just kind of is free real estate. So if you have the time, go ahead. The only problem is you have to engage in the combat to some extent, because the physical attacks only do a certain amount, and if you hit the proper timing, it doubles the damage. So if you just kind of mash through it, the fight's going to just take longer in general.
See, rhythmic mashing is truly an art.
Yeah, I think this is one of the first games that has the, like, interaction where it's, like, timed hits. If not, it's, like... Yeah. If not, it's definitely one of, like, the first ones I remember. And being able to, like, reduce damage physically to 0 is a tent pole of almost every speed run of this game, for whether it be vanilla or the standard versions. There are some like hardness difficulties that like remove it or kind of reduce the amount you can defend, but it's a major part that allows us to get away with not focusing too much on defense and more on physical, to the point where it's like HP up, lol, I'm gonna get some work pants and just hit harder.
Pretty much. Just hit harder. Honestly, this hack in general is great if you don't want to take yourself too seriously, because you can kind of tell that whoever made this hack also didn't take themselves too seriously. They, have a bunch of humor in there, kind of true to the game. Yeah. Some of the graphics are a little wonky, like the starting area we were grinding in.
Yeah, it's the right measure between like decently balanced and shitposty, if you will. There's a lot of like games that are incredibly popular like this that have ROM hacks, and there's like a very big difference between wheat and the chaff, if you will. So it can be a pretty stark difference, and this is one of the like, I guess, hidden gems, if you will, in terms of quality. It's not perfect, but it's definitely better. So for a lot of the fights, we've just been leveling up to refill our HP. But since Lane doesn't give any EXP, we can't level up there. So we grabbed a mushroom there to top off our HP, because we're actually going into a gauntlet fight with Smithy's head. Yeah. So we're going to gauntlet fight all 4 of Smithy's unique heads from the very final phase. And they're going to get... Ooh, nice freaking. They're going to get stronger. Yeah. they're gonna get stronger with each and every phase. But like I mentioned earlier, we got to Yoshi-ade before the red essence, or else we won't get the attack buff. This ends up becoming very important in this fight because it's a gauntlet of 4 fights back to back to back. The first few phases are fairly inconsequential and not really dangerous, but because we're vulnerable for those that first turn, because some of them do have priority and attack before we even get a turn, and will attack right after the Yoshi-ade as well. They'll get 2 attacks in. So our HP is going to be very valuable here, and we need to keep an eye on it going into the final phase. If we get too greedy with low enough HP, we can very easily get mauled by the final phase and game over.
Yeah,
so we...
Funny Dark Star is always funny to see, and you just kind of lose your run there.
Yeah, the final phase has a variety of things. There are a few physical attacks that we can block. There's several middling magic attacks that do like in the mid-50s, somewhere in there, but there's like a Star Storm, one of the attacks from Ultimatum, and Death Star, which is the worst, that hit for hundreds of damage, and the Death Star hits for like 200 or 300 or something. That'll basically one-shot us if we're not at full health. There's been a situation where I've seen one of the practice runs where we just kind of like Yoshi-ade back to back and got lucky that we survived through it. So that's first one down. Same thing. Second verse, same as the first. Throw a Yoshi-ade here, and then throw a Red Essence. These fights are 100% doable without the Red Essence. They're definitely not viable in a speedrun. And Sonny can attest that they are not fun.
Hey, speaking of getting shredded.
Yeah. So it could be worse, but it also eats up an extra turn. So
those freebies are coming in clutch now because, yeah, that can happen.
Yeah, the freebies make sure that we have enough Yoshi-ades for all of these fights, and if we have extra, if we have enough freebies, it allows us to have a Yoshi-ade for that situation. And also the final boss that we referenced will have Peach and Geno as well, which will allow us to just throw out some Yoshi-ades on everybody instead of bothering with Geno boosts, which will also keep the FP usage down a little bit so we have access to more group hugs as well. But fortunately, these first few are fairly inconsequential and just beat it with a hammer. Wait, literally.
So while we're in the middle of beat Smithy with a hammer, hey Fizzle, you got anything?
No new donations have rolled in as of yet. However, I just want to remind everybody that we're here supporting the Liam Foundation, whose work started 15 years ago. Their mission is to encourage, assist, heal, and empower our LGBTQIA+ community through respect, advocacy, and passionate hearts to promote thriving in society. Recently, they expanded their space in June of 23, and they've been holding new regular events including open mic nights, name change clinics, adult peer support groups, D&D events, and more. If you like what you see, please donate to the charity. All proceeds go directly to them. As far as upcoming incentives, we have tomorrow morning at noon, we have Castlevania Symphony of the Night. We're still looking to fill out the all bosses / relics incentive, the increased difficulty from 5 to 6 incentive, and we have a couple of bid wars, one for the file name and one for the sprite colors of Richter. So if you want to help influence that and help donate to a great cause, go ahead and get the donations in now. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good thing to hear. That's as somebody that works with RPG Limit Break, we see a lot of that since we work for mental health in general, that's something that really needs it. The LGBTQIA needs the assistance for sure, because it's definitely hard on your mental health.
By the way, Fizzle, you gave me some extremely good luck in that read, because both of the spells that Mage had used for the first 2 turns missed me.
Oh yeah.
So thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Do you live in Dark Star at this point?
Yeah, I actually can.
It was very hard to not cut in because I noticed that happening and I was like, that's some good RNG. I haven't seen that one in a while. Yeah, not only that, but we saw like a heal too, so we got some extra damage off that sped it up a little bit. Super nice. A lot of these magic attacks, once again, are like unblockable, but the amount of damage that they do is kind of inconsequential. You would just end up in a tug of war using Caracolas here rather than red essences. And the main issue is more like Caracolas will probably buy you 2 turns, where red essence just gets you 3. So it speeds this up, makes it a lot more consistent, and well, just frankly makes it way less frustrating and more enjoyable. They're there. You can buy them. There's no reason not to use them for sure.
All right, so these first 3 phases of Smithy all had 5,000 HP apiece. This final phase of Smithy has 8,900 HP. So we're in for a fight. Get comfy.
With the sped up beats of the arm boss.
Let's go. We were never in danger.
Still like almost at half HP.
Healless Smithy, let's go.
Yeah. So Meteor Swarm is one of the harder hitting attacks, but even if Smithy had used this part of that, it still wouldn't have been enough damage.
With red or essence, they all do 0.
Yeah.
So they hit the same.
All attacks are equal in the eyes of red essence. Yeah, so like we said earlier, red essence is very interesting, considering you normally don't get multiple, or at least a critical mass of them to kind of spam them. The fact that like they cancel out status effects, they prevent red essence from being layered an additional turn, they prevent like you from buffing yourself, or prevent bosses from debuffing you. There's such an interesting item.
Yeah. We began pairing them to Mountain Dew, and the caffeine and sugar just makes you vibrate in place, so you're intangible.
It just like molecular shuffle. Yeah,
and then Caracolas, also known as Croca-Colas in the remake. Very obvious.
Coke versus Pepsi. Sir, do you sell Pepsi here? No, we don't.
And we have Yoshi-Aid or Lemonade, or I don't know. We have our drinks that are non-alcoholic for.
we just got our big gulp for the movie, and we're ready to sit down and enjoy a cinematic masterpiece.
Cinematic masterpiece of beating the treasure chest in the head with a hammer.
So, if you were paying attention there, you may have seen the first instance of me hitting a very sour roll at a 510. That's a really bad roll.
Yeah, so our base damage is relatively low, and hitting the timing perfectly doubles it. But hitting the sour timing that Sonny's referring to really kind of limits our damage and does nowhere near as much as doubling it. So it can end up taking a bit long if we hit too many of those. Oh, or, we can get a red essence so that it just doesn't matter anyway. We can be here for an extra 3 turns. Not a problem. But yeah, the major time swing in this, in terms of an actual run, would be the attacks the enemy uses. Early game, it would be a matter of whether the attacks kill us or not. Once we get to red essence or to a critical mass of HP, we hit a point where it's just like, yeah, that's neat. It doesn't really kill us, but it wastes a lot of time. Or, I mean, you can do some of the other fights where we ended at 6 and 1 HP. All according to plan.
All according to cake.
This run's
Alright,
actually...
so
Go ahead.
Smithy should have 1 hit left.
Bonk, bonk, bonk.
And here's his final attack, which is going to be a Death Star. And that's it. We are through the Smithy Gauntlet. We are on to the final boss, Hellraiser.
Yeah, as we mentioned, that Death Star hits for about 200, which is a really rude final attack to give to a boss after a gauntlet of 4 bosses, where the final boss not only has nearly double HP, but it also hits like twice as hard. You gotta work for it. Thank you, Freddy.
Thanks, Freddy. Appreciate it, my friend.
I'm broken. Send help. I need repairs. Yeah. So you're
Always
seeing
need repairs, my friend.
So we're kind of seeing the consequence of the freebies. It's nice that we have extra, but it also kind of messes with the item organization. So we have what we need. We just have to make sure we use the right thing. Especially with red essences, it becomes extremely important to not mess that up. We won't be firing off them immediately here. Since we actually have a party, we have enough damage to force through this first phase. And the attacks of the boss are actually weak enough that group hug can pull us through. So we'll just tank a couple of hits here, throw out a group hug, and heal up, and force our way through this first phase of the fight. Because this boss does have 2 phases. It's more or less like the Smithy fight, where we go from like phase 1 to like phase 4. First phase, pretty non-scary. Second phase, start getting counterattacks all over the place. The attack damage really goes up. And it's just not reasonable to try and heal through. And then on top of that, too, we do have a very low amount of FP. So even if we did try and heal through it, we would end up wasting a lot of time trying to stay up. But yeah, you'll notice that the damage starts kind of dropping off here in the end, regardless of power leveling. One of the other things is Peach and Geno do join us at level 30, so they're pretty much as maxed as they could be. Mario is the only one that's a little bit behind, but since we were able to pick all of the bonuses, ooh, nice. All the bonuses, we really got to set him up pretty well for this fight. Ooh, nice. Free turn. Double free turn. This is even better here, since we get 2 free hits with everybody.
Not against Hellraiser.
Frying pan.
Oh yeah, that is fair. You're right. Yeah, Hellraiser. I'm forgetting. Hellraiser is one of the few bosses that does actually not skip their turn after healing. Every other boss that does skip their turn, though.
Yeah, this is the only boss that doesn't skip the turn whenever it uses Demon Flash. Every other boss that has Demon Flash will skip its next turn. And you may have noticed with the Axims, when Mega Recover and Recover were used, the same thing happened. That is just part of how the scripting works.
Yeah, luckily, these bosses are pretty fair in some aspects, at least most of the early ones. Smithy and Lane are kind of where it goes off the deep end and just like, yeah, this is supposed to be hard. Have fun.
It's a final boss. Like, come on, it's meant to be hard.
Yeah, fair. Lane is supposed to be like a trick final boss, if I remember correctly, too. Because that's why there was the little text scroll after, because the game's like, that's not the final boss. This is the final boss. And Death Star here, part of the reason that we started going into Red Essence rather than going for healing, because that hits just as hard as it used to. That could be a party wipe in the wrong circumstance, so we definitely want to go for heals.
Yeah.
Or the Red Essences over healing, rather.
But hear me out. Frying pan.
Frying pan, yeah. Oh, unfortunately, there we go. We got that Yoshi-aid that I was talking about. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. Yeah, if it's just Mario, it's fine. If it's Peach, that would have been catastrophic. Mainly because even if Mario goes down here, we can just get him back up with Peach. It'll slow things down, but it's very survivable.
Mario is absolutely dead this turn, by the way.
Well. Ooh. Well, yeah. Yeah.
You forgot about the second attack.
Yeah, you never see the second attack coming.
But what about second attack?
What about the third attack? What about third breakfast?
Hear me out, 11 C's.
Yeah, so luckily with the turn order here, we can Geno boost if we want, and then throw the Red Essence. If we want to. Or, you know, we could just do the smart thing and use the Yoshi-aid. Because, yeah, that's right, you can use items on more than yourself. What the heck? There's so many Yoshi-aids! Oh, what the fudge. No! Okay, I thought we Yoshi-aided again. I was like, no, not the same mistake, please. My heart can't take this.
We're good. Don't worry.
To be fair, we've gotten enough red S freebies that
As long as we use them, we'll fine. I think we might have run out of Yoshi aids at this point, so I don't think we can make a mistake.
literally impossible.
Yeah. It's impossible to mess up at this point.
You underestimate my stupidity.
Yeah. I mean, I have surprised myself with my stupidity before, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was infectious. So yeah, one of the neat things here is we want to red essence up, because at this point we get counterattacks on everything, but we don't know who's going to get countered. So it chews through our HP very quick if we don't set up the red essence defense.
Yeah, Spritz Bomb would do over 1,000 to Peach.
Yep. Yeah, there is one move that insta-kills, which did kill a practice run. It was very brutal. The funny part was it landed on Geno but killed Peach somehow. I don't think the game knew what it was doing any better than I did.
Go home, Mario, you're drunk.
Yeah!
Let's see.
But yeah, now that we're seeing counterattacks for the amount of time we've been here, we should be getting towards the end of this nonsense. The problem is that these final bosses get a little bit chunky, so we end up having to spend quite a bit whittling down their HP one move at a time.
So I've lost count on Hellraiser's HP. Apparently I could have killed with Mario. So time will be coming up very soon. Time.
The fabled HP level. So
You
yeah,
do take an HP level.
yeah. Since we don't need to fight anything here, we might as well just take it. Early on and very late, it's super bad to take that HP level, because the way that the structure of leveling, it really kind of shotguns your stats early and late.
You say that, but then Sony PBs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. Yeah. I PB with an HP level. Let's go. I'm just too good for the game.
And I mean, a lot of RNG gets influenced on this. My my best is a 5442 or 5444 for this. And my last practice run I did before this, I got a 5445.
Yep. Had a lot of really good practice runs, and even looking at the splits for this one, it was a fairly good run.
Oh yeah, definitely brought it way back here at the end. So being a minute 52 off of my PB is pretty good. Part of that is RNG, the other part of that is just some mismenus that happened, but otherwise, good run.
Yeah. Pretty solid overall. I've seen some more catastrophic mistakes, and none of those were really too bad. Just some of those like, well, this can happen. Welp, it happened. Good. I'm glad I cursed it.
See, I thought we were going to be resetting right away. Like, with that second Rapid Ice.
Yeah, when I saw that Rapid Ice, I was just like, well, I should just stick my foot in my mouth.
And then we see the fabled miss text. Wow.
That's like the only attack that miss really matters on. That's the silly part.
So we have about 8 minutes remaining. You guys want to see the potential of the level 2 Shazam fight?
Oh boy.
You can either fight it at level 2, or you can see if you can get that super suit.
Oh, my saves are going to be wiped.
Oh yeah.
We might as well go for the level 2 fight so that you can show that it's possible, and then be like die on level 3. It'll be funny.
It'll be great. All right.
Great.
We'll go for level 2 Shazam.
Watch the save data not be wiped.
We're about
If
to
it's
find
not
out.
wiped, I'm going to. I don't know what I'm going to do. It only wiped file 1.
Neat.
Neat. That's good to know.
I love to know when my ROM hack is not working, dude. I had one. I was like trying to play my physical copy of Breath of Fire 2, and it would. I got to like Tunlin or whatever, and it would not update the save anymore. I made it all the way to the Coliseum save. Then I was like, okay, I'm gonna grind, and then I forgot I didn't. Oh, maybe I didn't save. And then I just realized it wouldn't overwrite the save anymore. I'm like, why? Why?
So, Fizzle, you want to take things away for a few seconds while I get set up for the level 2 Shazam fight?
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're seeing, you like watching the Super Mario RPG antics, go ahead and give a donation to the Liam Foundation, the charity that we're supporting with the FFR Summer Rando Marathon. All the way back in 2015, they started their mission to encourage, assist, heal, and empower our LGBTQIA+ community through respect, advocacy, and passionate hearts to promote thriving in society. Currently working on projects such as adult peer support groups, D&D, name change clinics, and more. Please donate to the charity. They're a very good cause, a very deserving cause. Thank you.
All right. Now we're gonna get the Dark Fire.
No Dark Might this time.
Yeah,
and a
so
68 roll.
Yeah, low
Low roll.
So little fire guy can show up along with these fights, which would push us over on the second fight into level 3, but would just make the first fight more dangerous.
It would push us real close to level 3, and that 38 would have been a 76 if I got it on the first roll.
Yeah, the Valor up here is cutting the damage in half, so...
But we got a second 38 roll, so we actually shaved a turn.
Nice. That's very uncommon.
All right, so here we go. Level 2 Shazam. This fight is really, really, really RNG dependent.
Yeah, and it was already RNG dependent on the first fight. Well, this is what should have happened.
And we're immediately going to heal.
Oh, I see you want to survive. Yeah, so the problem here is we're hitting like 60s. We should be like kind of, yeah, 70 should not be the high roll, unfortunately. But we're going to be at the mercy of the RNG here completely. This also messes with our money route quite a bit too, coming in here, and the EXP route a bit. But this is just way too dangerous because we're at the mercy of this. Because normally in a run, there's no way we would have bothered to heal. So that would have killed 100%. And at this point...
We got it.
Of course. You survived 2 fights that you should have died in, sounds about right. So yeah, that fight's normally incredibly dangerous. In an actual practical run, we wouldn't have healed, so it would have been... You would have died. Which is exactly kind of what we're trying to show off, that, like, it's very easy to survive if you want, but you end up losing time here, and then also we lose the mushrooms to sell as well.
I mean, the question I'm trying to see right now is if Shazam will give me the I'm just gonna kill you RNG.
Yeah, if we see Rapid...
That's a sight.
Really? Really, game?
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of runs of this, and I've not seen this many misses on Rapid Ice ever. I'm beside myself.
I don't even know at this point. I don't know anymore. I'm just pushing the buttons.
I've seen a lot of Rapid Ices, but I think this is the peak amount of Rapid Ice misses I have seen ever.
You can't shoot you can't miss fast enough to end a fight.
So the like upswing here is that we can skip some of the rock encounters and get into buy sell a little bit quicker, but there's really the amount of risk versus the reward is very minimal. We would still take the same amount of fights here, but this does mess with our...
It messes with money, it messes with EXP routing, it messes with a lot.
Yeah, so we'd end up having to take another Shazam or find some extra money and stuff. Because we ended up testing this out a little bit more, and it ends up messing with pretty much everything to the point where it's like we'd have to look deeper into the route and be like, well, where can we find the extra money? Where can we find the extra EXP to get where we need to go? And if the answer is doing just an extremely difficult Shazam fight for the lulls, then it's probably not the right solution. Especially when the rock fight is guaranteed to be 2 attacks and done because of the, once again, always being guaranteed. Actually, I don't think it's 100% guaranteed. I've seen it miss, but it has an incredibly high rate to the point where it might as well be guaranteed.
Yeah, I think it's 95% actually, but yeah. We'll take out one more Shazam for the road, and then I'll send it on back off to you guys, so that way we can go through the setup block and bring you into the overnight block.
Yeah, we just had to wring out all of your good luck before we left, so that you didn't have any for the weekend.
And yet I still had a lot.
Dude, nice HP value. No, don't do it. There we go.
Are we going to end at 69? We're going to end at 69.
Let's go. Perfect
Nice.
run.
Perfect run. Perfect end. So yeah, Sid, try hard. Shout outs to both of you for joining me in here. You both know how much I concentrate on this game while I'm playing it. So I do greatly appreciate it. It really does. Our marathon crew here for FFR, thank you all for having me both yesterday and today. It's been an absolute blast as always. I look forward to whatever we have for the bonus runs, and for everybody else coming up, good luck on your runs. Definitely stick around, because we have quite a bit more marathons still coming. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for that. Try hard, Sid, anything you guys want to say before we kick it on back?
Nope, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
It was a great time to be here. Thanks for dragging me into another thing. I've enjoyed SMRPG a lot since you got me into it. Go try the ROM hack.
And if you want to know where to grab this ROM hack, I believe romhacking.net actually still has this on their list of Super Mario RPG hacks. So definitely go check that out if you want to give this a go. So, and be sure to join the SMRPG Discord. There are vanilla, there's stuff on vanilla, there's stuff on randomizers, there's stuff on hacks. I mean, there actually is a full channel dedicated to ROM hacking and using Lazy Shell, which is the editor for SMRPG. But yeah, thank you all so much, and enjoy the rest of the marathon.
All right, thank you very much, Sonny. Very well done. GG. We're going to take a brief break here, and we're going to come back with the Saturday overnight block. We're going to have a relay race of Final Fantasy V Career Day into Chrono Trigger Jets of Time into Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
your back.